What if one of the most powerful tools for protecting your heart didn't come from a pharmacy, but from the fruit aisle? What if it was something simple, affordable, and absolutely delicious? Hello and welcome back to the Senior Vitality Podcast, the show dedicated to helping you live your most vibrant and healthy life. I'm your host, Emily, and I'm so glad you've joined us. As always, I'm here with our trusted expert and compassionate physician, Dr. David Evans.
It's a pleasure to be here, Emily. Hello, everyone.
Dr. David, today we are diving into a topic that is not only crucial for our health, but also wonderfully enjoyable. We're talking about the power of fruit, specifically 5 temperate fruits that research shows can dramatically help reduce the risk of a heart attack. We're going to uncover how these simple choices at the grocery store can become your heart's greatest allies, providing a sense of control and independence over your own well-being. It's a delicious path to a healthier heart, and I can't wait to get started. Let's start with something we all know and love, Dr. David, the apple. We've all grown up with that old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, but I think many of us dismiss it as just a folksy little rhyme. Is there real, hard science behind that saying, especially when it comes to protecting our hearts?
Emily, it's one of those wonderful instances where folk wisdom and modern science align perfectly. The simple, humble apple is a cardiovascular powerhouse, and the science is quite clear on this. The benefits come from a beautiful combination of 2 key components, soluble fiber and a class of antioxidants called polyphenols.
Okay, soluble fiber and polyphenols. Can you break that down for us? What do those things actually do inside our bodies?
Of course. Let's start with the fiber. Apples are particularly rich in a type of soluble fiber called pectin. The best way to think about pectin is to imagine it as a tiny, highly effective sponge. As this sponge travels through your digestive tract, it soaks up LDL cholesterol, that's the bad cholesterol we're always hearing about, before it has a chance to get into your bloodstream, stick to the walls of your arteries, and cause plaque buildup. It's a remarkably elegant, natural cleanup crew that escorts the bad stuff out of your body. One study even showed that daily apple consumption specifically lowered a type of bad cholesterol that is notorious for hardening arteries.
A sponge for cholesterol. I love that analogy. It's so easy to picture. So the apple is actively cleaning us out from the inside. What about the other part, the polyphenols?
The polyphenols are the other half of this dynamic duo. These are powerful antioxidants, and one of the most important ones in apples is called quercetin, which is found in high concentrations in the apple's skin. These compounds work in a different way. They help to reduce inflammation throughout the body, and they also help to lower blood pressure by promoting good, healthy blood flow. So you have the fiber cleaning up the cholesterol, and you have the polyphenols improving the health and function of your blood vessels themselves. It's a fantastic 1-2 punch for heart protection.
That brings up a great question. You mentioned the skin. A lot of people I know peel their apples. Are they missing out? And does it matter what kind of apple we choose? Is a green Granny Smith as good as a deep red Delicious?
That is such an important point, Emily. Yes, if you peel the apple, you are absolutely missing out on a huge portion of its benefits. The peel is where that powerful quercetin and many other antioxidants live. I always tell my patients, please just wash it well and eat the whole thing. As for the type, the good news is that all apples are beneficial. However, for the biggest antioxidant punch, those varieties with deep, dark red skins like Red Delicious or Fuji tend to have higher concentrations. But truly, the best apple is the one you enjoy and will eat every day.
That makes so much sense. I find that a simple way to make it feel like a real treat is to slice an apple up and just sprinkle a little cinnamon on it. It curbs my afternoon sweet tooth, and I know I'm doing something good for myself. What are some other ways folks can get their daily apple?
That's a perfect way to enjoy them. For a little more variety, I've shared a couple of ideas with my patients that they've really taken to. One is making what we call apple donuts. You just core an apple and slice it crosswise into rings. Then you can spread a very thin layer of peanut butter or almond butter on top and sprinkle on a few chopped walnuts. You get fiber, protein, and healthy fats all in one delicious snack. Another idea is to go savory. Dice up an apple and toss it into a spinach salad with a handful of walnuts and a light vinaigrette. The sweet crunch is a wonderful contrast.
Ooh, those both sound fantastic. So who is this advice for? Is an apple a day truly good for everyone?
It's great for almost everyone, which is the beauty of it. It's an affordable, accessible, and powerful tool for taking control of your heart health. The data really supports this. Research has consistently shown that consuming about one medium apple a day is associated with a lower risk of cardiovascular disease, including measurable reductions in blood pressure and cholesterol. Now, for the responsible caveat, for a very small number of my patients with significant digestive issues or conditions like IBS, a large amount of raw fiber can sometimes cause a bit of discomfort. In those cases, I suggest cooked apples. A simple, unsweetened applesauce is a wonderful alternative. The cooking process breaks down the fiber, making it much gentler on the system while still retaining many of the wonderful nutrients.
You know, Dr. David, that talk about inflammation really struck a chord. A woman in my walking group, Martha, was just telling me last week how her joints have been feeling so much less achy lately. She swears it's because she started adding a big handful of mixed berries to her oatmeal every single morning. It got me thinking. If they're that good for the inflammation in her knees, what on earth are they doing for our hearts?
Emily, your friend Martha is a perfect case study, and she is absolutely on to something profound. The very same mechanism that's helping to soothe her joints is a massive ally for our cardiovascular system. Berries, we're talking blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, are perhaps nature's most potent anti-inflammatory food.
So it's all about fighting inflammation?
It's a huge piece of the puzzle. The vibrant reds, blues, and deep purples of these berries come from compounds called anthocyanins. These are incredibly powerful antioxidants, and their primary job is to combat inflammation and something called oxidative stress throughout the body. I often use an analogy with my patients. Think of oxidative stress as being like rust forming on a car. It's a slow, silent, damaging process that happens over time. In our bodies, it damages the delicate lining of our blood vessels, making them stiff and prone to plaque buildup. The anthocyanins in berries are like a potent natural rust-proofer for your arteries. They keep the vessels clean, flexible, and healthy, which in turn helps lower blood pressure and improve cholesterol levels.
A rust-proofer for our arteries. Dr. David, I'm never going to look at a blueberry the same way again. That is such a powerful image. Now, one thing I hear a lot, especially from people on a fixed income, is that fresh berries can be quite expensive, particularly in the winter. Does that mean this benefit is out of reach for some people?
That is an excellent and very practical question, and the answer is a resounding no. Here is the wonderful news. Frozen berries are just as nutritious as fresh ones. The flash freezing process used today is fantastic at preserving all those delicate anthocyanins and vitamins. So please, I encourage everyone to buy whichever is more affordable and convenient. If fresh berries are on sale, wonderful. If not, a big bag of frozen mixed berries from the freezer aisle is an incredible, cost-effective investment in your health.
That's such a relief to hear. And should we be picking one type over another? Are blueberries the king, or should we be looking for variety?
Variety is always best, as each berry has a slightly different nutritional profile. Blueberries and strawberries have been studied extensively, with one major study finding that women who regularly consumed them had an astonishing 32% lower risk of a heart attack. That is a massive risk reduction from such a simple dietary habit. But I also encourage my patients to include blackberries and raspberries, which are particularly high in fiber. The goal should be about a cup of mixed berries several times a week. You can toss them in your morning cereal or yogurt, blend them in a smoothie, or just eat a handful for a snack.
I love the idea of making a simple berry compote. Just heating up some frozen berries on the stove until they get warm and syrupy. I can just imagine that spooned over a bowl of oatmeal or some plain Greek yogurt. It feels decadent.
It does, doesn't it? And it's pure health. Now, while berries are fantastic for most of us, there is an important caveat I need to mention, especially for anyone on blood-thinning medication. Berries, particularly the darker ones, contain vitamin K, which plays a role in blood clotting. For my patients who are on a medication like warfarin or Coumadin, a sudden and significant increase in their daily vitamin K intake can interfere with how that medication works. It absolutely does not mean you can't eat berries. It simply means this is a critical conversation to have with your doctor. They can help you maintain a consistent intake so that your medication levels remain stable and effective. It's all about communication.
Emily, if you don't mind, I'd like to start this next segment with a fact that might surprise some of our listeners. When we talk about heart health, we often focus, quite rightly, on cholesterol. But there's another factor that's just as critical, the flexibility of our blood vessels. I want you to imagine a brand new garden hose. It's supple, pliable, and water flows through it without any issue. Now, picture an old hose that's been left out in the sun for years. It's stiff, brittle, and can crack easily. Certain compounds found in grapes, especially red and purple ones, act like a natural conditioner for our blood vessels, helping to keep them soft, flexible, and responsive.
Wow, a conditioner for our arteries. I've never heard that before, but it makes perfect sense. An old stiff hose is not what we want. So what is this magic conditioner inside the grapes? How does it work?
The magic comes from a group of polyphenols, most famously one called resveratrol, but also many other flavonoids. These compounds work directly on the inner lining of our blood vessels, something called the endothelium. They help this lining to produce more nitric oxide, which is a signal that tells the blood vessels to relax and widen. When the vessel widens, blood can flow through more easily, and your blood pressure naturally goes down. It's the difference between trying to force water through a narrow, constricted nozzle versus letting it flow through a wide-open, relaxed hose.
So, Dr. David, and I know people are thinking this, does this mean we should all be running out to buy a case of red wine?
The million-dollar question I get in my office all the time, and it's a fair one. While it's true that red wine contains these beneficial compounds, I never, ever recommend that someone start drinking alcohol for health benefits. The risks associated with alcohol can easily outweigh the potential rewards. The fantastic news is that you can get a wonderful, concentrated dose of these same polyphenols from eating whole, red or purple grapes, or by drinking a small glass of 100% grape juice. Make sure it's red or purple as they have the highest concentration of these healthy compounds.
That's great to know. Go for the color. And when you say juice, I imagine the kind you choose is very important.
Absolutely critical. You must read the label and make sure it says 100% juice with no added sugar. Many grape-flavored drinks are little more than sugar water with artificial flavoring. You want the real deal. In fact, that brings me to the responsible caveat for grapes. The main thing I discuss with my patients, especially those who are managing diabetes or are pre-diabetic, is being mindful of the natural sugar content. Grapes are sweet for a reason. For this reason, I often prefer they eat the whole fruit. A serving of about 1.5 cups of whole grapes is perfect. When you eat the whole grape, you get all that wonderful fiber, which helps to slow down the absorption of the sugar into your bloodstream, preventing a sharp spike. With juice, the sugar is much more readily available, so portion control, a small glass, say 4 to 6 ounces, is key.
Those are such practical tips. I've seen some creative ideas for using grapes, too. I've heard of people having them and adding them to a chicken or tuna salad, which sounds like it would add a lovely burst of sweetness and moisture. But you mentioned roasting them. I'm trying to picture that.
It's a game changer, Emily. You simply toss them with a tiny drizzle of olive oil and roast them in a hot oven around 400 degrees for about 15 or 20 minutes. They become incredibly sweet and jammy. They are absolutely delicious served alongside a piece of roasted chicken or pork loin. It turns a simple meal into something truly special. And the data backs up the benefits of grapes. One study using grape powder, which is essentially concentrated whole grapes, found that daily consumption significantly reduced not just total cholesterol, but specifically the bad LDL cholesterol as well. And another line of research shows these polyphenols directly help to reduce atherosclerosis, which is that hardening of the arteries we were talking about earlier.
This next fruit makes me think of my husband, Bill. He struggles with a bout of gout every now and then, which is a very painful inflammatory condition. His doctor suggested he try drinking some tart cherry juice to help with the inflammation, and Bill swears by it now. He says it really takes the edge off. It's always made me wonder, though, if those same benefits could be helping his blood pressure, which is something else he keeps a very close eye on.
Emily, your husband Bill is a very smart man, and his doctor gave him excellent advice. And your intuition is spot on. The powerful anti-inflammatory effect that is helping to calm the gout in his joints is precisely why cherries are also a superstar for heart health. It's a perfect example of how treating inflammation benefits the entire body. The same anthocyanin compounds we talked about in berries are present in cherries, but in a unique combination that seems to be particularly effective.
So it's another fruit that helps put out those inflammatory fires. How does that translate to heart attack risk?
It translates directly. By reducing systemic inflammation and oxidative stress, cherries help protect the entire cardiovascular system. But the research on cherries has uncovered some very specific, impressive benefits. Several studies have focused on older adults and found that drinking tart cherry juice can lead to a significant drop in systolic blood pressure. That's the top number in the blood pressure reading, and also a reduction in that harmful LDL cholesterol.
Wow, so it hits both blood pressure and cholesterol. That's a double win.
It is, and there's more. I often tell my patients who are specifically concerned about their triglyceride levels. That's another type of fat in your blood that can increase heart disease risk when it's too high, that cherries can be a fantastic tool. One study found that daily consumption of tart cherry juice helped lower triglycerides by an average of 17%. That is a very meaningful improvement that can make a real difference in someone's overall risk profile.
That is incredible. Now, I have to ask about the different types. I see those beautiful, sweet, dark Bing cherries in the supermarket during the summer, but the juice I always see advertised is specifically tart cherry juice, usually from Montmorency cherries. Is there a big difference?
An excellent question. The simple answer is that both sweet and tart cherries are good for you and contain these beneficial compounds. However, the tart varieties, like the Montmorency cherry, have been the subject of much more scientific research, and they appear to have a more concentrated punch of these anti-inflammatory anthocyanins. That's why you'll often see the juice marketed that way. So when they're in season, enjoy those fresh sweet cherries by the hand. For the rest of the year, frozen cherries or a high-quality tart cherry juice are fantastic options.
And I imagine, like with the grape juice, reading the label on that cherry juice is paramount.
It is the single most important piece of advice I can give. This is my main caveat for cherries. Because tart cherry juice is, well, tart, many manufacturers load it up with added sugars or mix it with cheaper juices like apple or pear juice to make it more palatable. This can completely counteract the health benefits, especially if you're watching your blood sugar or your weight. You must flip that bottle around and read the ingredients. It should say one thing, 100% tart cherry juice. Anything else, and I suggest you put it back on the shelf. A serving is about a cup of whole cherries or about 8 ounces of the pure juice.
That's a crucial tip. I love some of the creative ideas for using them, too. The idea of a savory cherry sauce, maybe with a little balsamic vinegar, to serve over grilled chicken, sounds so elegant. It's a great way to impress dinner guests while secretly doing something wonderful for their hearts.
Exactly. It's delicious medicine.
All right, Dr. David, for our fifth and final fruit, let's talk about one that I feel is often the quiet one in the fruit bowl, the one that gets a little overlooked, the pear. It doesn't have the brilliant colors of the berries or the legendary reputation of the apple, What makes the humble pear a heart-healthy hero?
The pear is the unsung hero of the fruit bowl, Emily. It's modest, it's quiet, but it is an absolute powerhouse. Its primary superpower is fiber. Pears are one of the best fruit sources of dietary fiber you can find. And like the apple, so much of that goodness is right there in the skin.
So it's that sweeping and sponging action we talked about earlier?
Precisely. It contains that wonderful pectin, the soluble fiber that binds to cholesterol and helps escort it out of the body, which is fantastic for lowering LDL. But the pear has another trick up its sleeve. It's also a very good source of potassium. Potassium plays a crucial role in heart health because it helps your body balance sodium levels. Most of us get far too much sodium in our diets, which can drive up blood pressure. Potassium helps your kidneys flush out that excess sodium, which can lead to a very real and beneficial lowering of blood pressure. So with the pear, you're getting a fantastic two-pronged attack. The fiber is tackling your cholesterol, and the potassium is helping to manage your blood pressure.
A 2-for-1 deal. I like the sound of that. And I've always noticed that when I eat a pear, I feel full for a really long time. It's much more satisfying than other snacks.
You've hit on another key benefit. That high fiber content makes pears incredibly filling, or satiating, as we say in medicine. This is a huge, often unappreciated benefit for weight management. And maintaining a healthy weight is an absolute cornerstone of good heart health. When you feel full and satisfied, you're much less likely to reach for those unhealthy, high-calorie processed snacks later on. And the research on this is really compelling. There are studies that have directly linked eating pears with the lower risk of dying from heart disease. And another landmark study on fiber found that for every 10 grams of fiber people added to their daily diet, they saw a 14% decrease in their risk for a heart attack. A single medium pear provides about 6 grams of fiber, so it gets you more than halfway to that goal with one simple snack.
14% is a huge number, and it's amazing to think that one pear can make such a dent in that goal. What varieties should we look for, and are there any warnings that go along with this high-fiber hero?
The good news is that all the common varieties, Bartlett, Bosc, Danjou, they're all excellent choices. Again, the most important thing is to eat the skin, as it contains a high concentration of not just fiber, but also antioxidants that can help decrease inflammation. As for the caveat, it's a gentle one. Pears are wonderfully easy on the system for most people. The only advice I give my patients is that if you are not currently used to a high-fiber diet, it's wise to increase your intake gradually. Please don't go from 0 to eating 3 pears a day overnight. Your digestive system might be a bit surprised. Ease into it. And, very importantly, whenever you increase your fiber intake, you must also be sure to drink plenty of water. Water helps the fiber do its job properly and keeps things moving along smoothly.
That's great advice, and what a perfect, simple snack. I'm a big fan of the classic pear and cheese combination, a few slices of a ripe, juicy pear with a small piece of sharp cheddar. It feels so decadent and satisfying, but it's really just simple, whole food.
It's a perfect pairing in every sense of the word. It's simple, it's delicious, and it's actively protecting your heart. You can't ask for much more than that.
This has been so incredibly enlightening. I feel like I need to go straight to the grocery store. To quickly recap for everyone, we've learned about 5 amazing fruits for our heart health today. We started with the heart's simple shield, the everyday apple. Then we covered the handful of protection you get from powerful berries. We learned how to unlock our vascular health with grapes. We found our anti-inflammatory ally in the Cheerful cherry, and we finished with the fiberful path to a healthy heart with the humble pear. Dr. David, if I could leave our listeners with just one final message today, it would be this. I want you to feel a true sense of empowerment. Your daily choices, the food you thoughtfully place in your shopping cart and lovingly put on your plate, have a profound and direct impact on your health. You do not need expensive supplements or complicated restrictive regimens to build a healthier heart. You can start today with one single delicious piece of fruit and know with confidence that you are actively building a stronger, more resilient heart for all the years to come. That power is simple. It is effective, and it is completely within your control. That is such a hopeful and powerful message, Dr. David. Thank you. And that leads us to our challenge for you, our wonderful listeners. Our challenge to you this week is to pick just one of these ideas. Maybe it's adding an apple to your lunch, or tossing some frozen berries in your morning oatmeal, or swapping a processed snack for a bunch of grapes. Just pick one thing that feels easy and achievable for you. And after you've tried it for a few days, we'd love for you to let us know how it went in the comments below this video. Your story might be the very thing that inspires someone else to make a healthy change. And if you found this conversation helpful, please consider sharing this video with a friend or a loved one who you think might benefit. It's a simple act of kindness that can make a world of difference. And finally, a reminder for our community. Please remember, the information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult with your own physician or qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Dr. David, as always, thank you for sharing your wisdom and your wonderfully relatable analogies with us today.
The pleasure was all mine, Emily.
And a huge thank you to all of you for listening. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss our next conversation. Until next time, be well, stay vibrant, and we'll see you on the Senior Vitality Podcast.